Good evening, dear students. So far we have been discussing about the quantitative research, isn't it? Quantitative as well as qualitative research. And also in our last session we had seen this quantitative as well as qualitative research. And in quantitative research, three categories are there. That is the first one, that is regarding the surveys. Second one, that is the correlational research. And the third one, that is the experimental research. And in qualitative studies, there will be document analysis, then case study, ethnographic studies, etc. So today we have to go in detail these three, that is surveys, then correlational as well as experimental research. So today I am taking this experimental research. Okay, you have to go through the what do you mean by this experimental research and how that process is going on and what are the advantages as well as delimitations of this experimental research. Okay, so this experimental research, normally experimentation means in lab also we had done so many experiments, isn't it? So experimentation, it is a very essential as well as a very powerful tool for any studies. It is a very powerful tool for any of our studies as well as and also in our life also. Experimentation, it is a very powerful tool. And also normally one of the definition by John W. Best, one of the definition by Best is experimental research, it is the description and analysis. It is the description and analysis of It is the description and analysis of what will be. Of what will be or what will occur under carefully controlled conditions. Under carefully controlled conditions. Okay, so this is the definition for experimental research according to John W. Best. He is a famous educationist. And also it is the experimental research, it is the description and analysis of what will be or what will occur under carefully controlled conditions. Sometimes if we are doing an experiment in our lab, we will fix certain conditions, isn't it? That means that particular temperature or at a particular pressure, etc. Or also in presence of a particular catalyst. Like that we are fixing some of the conditions. So that is what is meant by this controlled conditions. Okay, controlled conditions means we are fixing some certain specific situations or specific conditions for that experiment to be done. Okay. And also in the case of other researches based on humanities, etc., humanities, subjects related to humanities, there this research, it is carried out among people or students or whatever the sample will be. Sometimes if we are doing a study among students, then the sample will be students. If it is 10th standard, then the sample will be 10th standard students. Okay, so there the sample is the students. But in the case of science related subjects, our sample or the experiments will be carried out by using some specific apparatus or some specific instruments, isn't it? So in both the case, in both science and humanities, this experimental research is somewhat different. We are doing it in two different methods. Okay. So normally under carefully controlled conditions, in the case of humanities means we are fixing, suppose if we are doing an observation for an observation or a case study for a particular institution or for a particular student. So what happens is that we will be fixing certain conditions for that students. Okay, so that is what is called as the controlled conditions. So here the main point is that the experiments should be done under carefully controlled conditions. Then in educational research also, this investigator or the researcher can have the capacity to control the factors influencing that particular experimental research, or the researcher can control. It is in the part of the researcher, or it is by the part of the researcher that he can control, or he or she can control he or she can fix the conditions, essential conditions for that experiment to be carried out. Suppose if it is in a normal classroom condition, you can fix, suppose that particular investigator, he can fix that particular condition, whether it can be taught by any new method, by activity method, or by lecture demonstration, or by experimentation, or by showing some or by using some laboratory method, etc. That the experimenter has the right to fix the situation or fix the conditions there. Okay. Then the next is the main features of experimental method. Main features of experimental method. The first one is that the experimenter can control the essential factors. Almost all essential factors can be controlled by the experimenter. Can control all the experimental factors, or all the experimental or essential factors. Can control all the essential factors. And also sometimes one or two variables cannot be controlled, but that can be overcome by the use of, by applying certain statistical techniques also. So the first point is that the experimenter can have a control over the essential factors, or he can fix the conditions there. Okay, and also in educational research, etc., this experimentation, the basic for experimentation, the basic condition is that all other things become equal. That means if two groups are there, suppose one experimental group is there and one control group is there, and this experimental group will be given a treatment and control group will be given a normal method of teaching. Okay, this experimental group will be given a particular method of teaching. So this is in a normal classroom situation. So the experimental group will be given a newer method or an innovative method of teaching, and the control group will be giving a normal method of teaching. So here this before the start of the experiment, what the experimenter do is that he can equate these two groups, that is the experimental group as well as the control group. That means both the groups can be equated. This experimenter will be equating the two groups, or by giving an achievement test, or by giving a test paper, he or she can equate the two groups. That is, for both the groups, sometimes the marks will be equal. Like that, for the two groups, the total mark or the average marks will be equal. Like that, the experimenter can fix the condition or fix the two groups as an equal one. Okay, so that is the first condition. But in the case of normal laboratory method for science related subjects, this is not needed. This is in the case of humanities. Okay, and also one more point is that one student can never be equated with another student. Suppose a student A and this is another student B. These two students can never be equated by any means, isn't it? Or these two students can never be identical. So that is another point. These two students can never be identical. So what happens, what the experimenter do is that before the experiment, he supposes that these two groups or these two students are identical, or otherwise he can use some statistical techniques after this study. Okay, after conducting the study, he can adopt some certain statistical techniques or statistical methods to equate to these two groups. Okay, so that statistical methods, normally if the two groups are not identical, the statistical technique used is ANCOVA, that is analysis of covariance. Analysis of covariance. Okay, so such statistical techniques can be used for equating the two groups. That is another main important point of this experimental study. Okay, and also normally in educational research, this research activities or the experimental studies will be conducted in children, while in the case of laboratory methods, it will be conducted in laboratories. Okay, it will be conducted in laboratories, but in the case of educational research, it will be conducted in normal classrooms. It can be conducted in classrooms. Okay, so these are some of the main features of this experimental research. Hope you are clear with this, the main features of experimental research. Then the next is the uses of experimentation in education. Uses of experimentation in education. See here, this experimentation process, it can fix the aims and objectives. Okay, see, normally while we are taking our syllabus, there are certain aims and objectives in our syllabus, isn't it? Some aims and objectives are already fixed. That is, while you are studying a particular topic, you will be gaining some knowledge, or you can apply that particular concept in this particular situation. Okay, like that, some aims as well as objectives will be fixed. So by this experimentation process, the aims and objectives can be measured by using by the outcomes, isn't it? By measuring the suppose if an achievement test is conducted after giving a new method, an innovative method of teaching, so one achievement test is conducted. So by analyzing or by valuing the answer papers, we can know about whether the students had achieved or not, isn't it, from that particular new method of teaching, isn't it? By valuing the answer sheets, we can identify whether the students got any outcome from that particular strategy. Okay, so this aims and objectives can be measured by using this experimentation method. That is one use of this experimentation method. Then the second one is that it can ascertain, this experimentation process, it can ascertain the effect of any change. It can ascertain the effect of any change in normal educational practices. In normal educational practices and programs. So this experimentation, it can ascertain, or it can find out whether there is any change has occurred in the student after doing that particular practice or after doing that particular program. So these are some of the uses. Then coming to the major steps in the experimental research. Major steps in experimental research. This is very important. Major steps in experimental research. First one, it is selecting and delimiting the problem. Selecting and delimiting the problem. Selecting and delimiting the problem. So here, this selection of the problem means the investigator has to select a topic from his own area of interest. Okay, so that is the first point. It depends on the interest of the investigator or the researcher. So he can select a topic from his area of interest, and also he has to study well regarding the topic, also regarding the title, that is whether that particular title it is feasible, or whether that project work or whether that particular work can be carried out easily or smoothly. Or it may take sometimes some of the studies we have seen, sometimes some studies will be completed over 10 years, such a long duration of study. So that particular studies, it is not in use while in the case of humanities, etc., isn't it? 10 years means so many changes will be happening in our society. So while if now at present, that is at 2021, if we are taking a research topic, and after 10 years only we are completing, that is at 2031 only we are completing, then what is the purpose of that particular study? No need of that study, isn't it? The study cannot give anything to the society, isn't it? So that type of studies will not be much good, isn't it? So that type of studies will not be, that they are not feasible, isn't it? So while selecting the topic itself, we have to know whether it is feasible or whether it works out. That we should be aware, or the researcher should be aware. Okay, so that is the first one, the selection and selection of the problem. Okay, and also you have to do a thorough study regarding that particular problem, the areas of that particular topic. Okay, the areas covered or the previous studies in that area, etc., should be covered by the researcher. Okay. So that is one point. Then the second one, that is the delimitation of the problem. Delimitation means, normally limitation means it is the disadvantage of a disadvantage of anything, isn't it? Limitation means it is the disadvantage. See here, delimitation means it is the boundary of a particular problem. Okay, suppose this is the problem we selected, then we can fix the boundary for that particular topic. That means sometimes if we are selecting a topic and we will be while doing the research, we can go in depth, isn't it? In depth into that particular study. So that means it will be time consuming if we are going so much in depth. So that means if it is much time consuming, sometimes so much amount of money will be wasted, etc. So we have to suppose if it is a 5-year course or a 4-year course, if we are doing a research, we are doing a research for 4 years, etc., then you have to fix the time limit also, isn't it? Or for within that limits or within that 4 years, we have to complete this much. That idea we should keep in mind, isn't it? So delimitation means we are fixing the boundary. That means this much we have to study regarding that particular topic. Suppose if we are selecting a phytochemical, if we are selecting a topic from phytochemistry, we have to fix a boundary, or we will be fixing some aims or objectives for that particular study, isn't it? Aim means it is a broader one. Objective means it is not much broader one. Okay, so we are fixing the objectives for that particular study. So while the start of the study itself, we are fixing some objectives. That means within that objectives we will be conducting the study, or based on these objectives we are going to conduct that particular study within a period of 4 years or 3 years, like that. Okay. So that boundary, the boundary, it is mentioned with the help of this objectives. Okay. So that boundary, that means up to how much we have to do this research work. That boundary we can call it as the delimitation of the study. So while selection of the topic, this delimitation, it is very important. That is, the researcher should have a clear-cut idea in his mind up to what level he should carry his research work. Okay. So that is the first step, selection and delimitation of the problem. Second one, that is the review of literature. Reviewing the literature. Reviewing the literature. See here, literature means sometimes so many reviewing the literature. Literature means sometimes you have to collect the details regarding that particular topic. Okay. Collect the details. Suppose if we are selecting a topic regarding to phytochemistry or green chemistry, we have to collect the details which is available. Okay, from books we can collect the data, or from journals, or from other publications, or from network, isn't it? From different online journals, etc. We can collect the details. So that is what is called as the literature. And also, while collecting the details, while collecting the theoretical part, we have to go through the studies related to that particular topic, the previous studies conducted in that area. Okay, that we have to review. That is, we will be going through the previous studies conducted in that particular field. Okay, so that we can see what is the whether any studies had been carried out in that particular area. Sometimes if we are doing same research work which was done 5 years back, then what is the purpose of doing it again? No need of doing it and that work again, isn't it? So we have to see whether our research topic, it is a novel one, it is a new one, it is an innovative, and also whether it will be contributing to our society. All these things we have to keep in mind while selecting a topic, and also reviewing. That is the main part of this reviewing is that we will be going through the previous studies conducted, and also while preparing the research report, we will be presenting this review of the related literature as a second chapter. Okay, as the second part. So there we will be writing the name of the author of that particular article or research paper, etc. We are writing the name of the author, the year of conduct of research, then in which journal it is published, and the year of publication. All these details we will be collecting while doing this review. Okay, so this review of studies or reviewing the related literature means we will be going through the conceptual framework, or we will be going through that particular concept, the theoretical aspect as well as the previous studies conducted in that area. Okay, so this today I am taking this experimentation part because most of the students will be going through the project work this time, isn't it? January, February will be your studies will be related to this. You will be carrying out the project work also. Okay, so reviewing is a very important part while doing the project work. There also you have to write it as a second chapter. So there we will be writing the previous studies as well as the related literature or the conceptual framework or the theoretical background of that particular area. Okay, so that is the second step, reviewing the related literature. Then third one, that is the defining the population. Defining the population. Defining the population. See here, this defining the population means the sample of the study. Population, it is not actually the sample from the population. Suppose in the last class itself I had told you, suppose if there are 15,000 students, plus 2 students in Thiruvananthapuram district, so that is the population. Okay, that represents the population. Then from that 15,000 we are taking for our research purpose, we are taking only 100 students, 100 plus 2 students. Okay, so that comprises the sample. Okay, so here in educational research or in humanities, this comprises the sample of the study. What group we are administering our survey or questionnaire or rating scale or our experimental study. Okay, or to what sample, to what subjects we are giving, that represents the sample. But in the case of science studies, etc., we are doing laboratory experiments, and there we will be having some experiment materials, isn't it? Some materials will be there for experimental research in the case of science students, isn't it? Some materials, some instruments will be there. So that represents the sample for our study. Okay, so that is the difference for the two groups, that is for science students as well as the humanities. For humanities, our sample will be to what sample we are administering, or to what group we are administering that particular questionnaire or rating scale, etc. Okay. So in the third step, we have to define the population, that is we have to define the sample of our study. Then the fourth step, that is the planning of experiment. Planning of the experiment. So here planning of the experiment means here we have to determine what method should be adopted for doing that particular experiment. Okay, method of experimentation, that we have to fix it here. Method of experimentation we have to fix. Then at which place we have to conduct the study. Place of experiment, lab. If it is a lab, we have to fix the place where we can do that particular experiment. Then the next one, that is the duration of the experiment. Duration of the experiment, what time should be taken for the completion of that particular experiment. Okay, so that represents the duration. Then the next one, that is the determination of materials. Determining the materials for the particular experiment. That is, we have to for science studies we have to collect the materials, isn't it? Or we have to determine what materials should be used, etc. for that. Then the next one, that is conducting a pilot study. Conducting a pilot study means conducting a pilot study. Pilot study means we will be doing as a very what is that? We will be doing a part of the experiment. That is, we are doing it in a that is before conducting our study, before conducting our proper study, we will be doing some lab works related to that particular study. That is just a preview for the study. That is, we will be doing it in the lab before the conduct of the original study, whether the work will be whether we will be having any result or not. We will be conducting a one sample study, so that we can ascertain whether we will be having some result or not. Usually lab works will be like that. We will be conducting a sample study by using a very small quantity of the sample, and whether we will be checking whether there is any result or not. After that, we will be going to the main experiment. Okay, so that is called as the pilot study. Then the next one, that is the then conducting a pilot study. Then next is the selecting the subject and groups. That is for the humanities students, selecting the subject and groups. That is, we have to fix the students. If we are conducting the experimental research in students, then we have to fix the students, to which school we have to administer, etc., or which school we are doing that particular experimentation, etc. So these are the things coming under this planning of the experiment. Then the next one, fifth one, that is the conduct of the experiment. Conduct of the experiment. See here, in this conduct of the experiment, we have to already in the definition itself, it is said that the researcher will be having control over the experimental variables, isn't it, or for the situations. So there is the experiments will be done under controlled conditions. That is, the experimenter can fix the conditions there. Then the second one, while doing the conduct of the experiment, normally the science students, as you know, they will be keeping a record of the work, isn't it? So a careful record of the steps will be kept. A careful record of the steps in the experiment will be kept. So that is another point. Then we will be doing the experiment. So this is the fifth step, that is conduct of the experiment, mainly under controlled conditions. Then a record of the work is kept. Then after that we will be doing the experiment. Then the next one, sixth one, that is the measuring the outcomes. Measuring the outcomes. Measuring the outcomes. So here this after doing the experiment, we will be having some results, isn't it? So these results will be analyzed so that we can analyze or so that we can measure the outcomes, whether any change has occurred or whether any expected result has occurred there. So that is measured here. That is measuring the outcomes. That means the results are analyzed. Okay, the results are analyzed in this step. That is the sixth step. Then the seventh one, analyzing, then interpreting, analyzing, interpreting, and drawing conclusions. Analyzing, interpreting, and drawing conclusions. So this is the seventh step. That is, from the results obtained, we will be analyzing it, and we can interpret from the data. Suppose we will be using statistical techniques. So from the data, we can interpret our results, and we will be drawing conclusions, or that is from a particular group of students. See, from 30 students we are doing experimental research in this 30 students, and from this specific group we can draw general conclusions, isn't it? So it can be from specific to general. Then two methods are there connecting this, that is inductive and deductive method. Inductive and deductive method. Normally in scientific methods, these two processes are used, that is methods are used, that is inductive and deductive method. So deductive method means it will be from general to specific. Inductive method means it will be from specific to general. So from the while doing experimentation in a small sample, then we will be having some results, and after that the results were analyzed, then interpreted, and we will be drawing conclusions for the total population. Okay, that is, we are doing study, or we are doing an experimental research in a sample, and we can draw conclusions for that particular population. Okay. So that is the next step, drawing conclusions. Then the last one, that is the reporting of results. This is very important, this part, reporting of results. That is, after this study is completed, what we do is we will be reporting our results, and it will be in a carefully planned manner, and it will be in a carefully planned, systematic manner. Carefully planned, then systematic manner. That is how we are presenting the results. Normally for science students, they will be keeping a record of the work, practical records will be there. Similarly, for all the studies, there will be for your project work also, you will be having some reports, isn't it? Project reports will be there. So this project reports will be prepared by a carefully planned and systematic manner. Okay, and also the reader should have a judgment. There should not be any mistakes in that particular report. It should be there should not be any error in that particular reports, etc. Okay, so these are the important steps involved in experimental method. Okay, then some of the we can go through some of the advantages of this experimental research. Advantages of experimental research. See, this experimental research, it is simple to plan and operate. It is simple to plan and operate. Then usually classroom, for classroom purposes, for classroom teaching and laboratory, this experimental research, it is a very powerful tool. For classroom teaching, new innovative methods can be introduced with the help of this experimental research. Similarly, for laboratory also, this experimental research, it is very important. And the next one, that is the limitations of this experimental research. Limitations. The first limitation is that if the suppose a new method is introduced for a particular group of students. Okay, suppose a new method is introduced, then what happens is that if the students are repeatedly using that particular method, what happens is that they will be they will be having some achievement, greater achievement, isn't it, by using this innovative method. That is from the area of the students, or due to the interest of the students also, there will be having some greater gain in the subject matter. Okay, so that we can't measure, that we can't identify, because whether by using that new method itself, whether the student had got a gain or by using the control group. Control group means normally we will be having experimental studies in educational research. Normally we will be having an experimental group and a control group. Okay, so while we are giving a new method for experimental group, for the control group we are using normal classroom teaching. Okay, we are giving a normal classroom teaching. Suppose this new method, it creates some interest among the students, and sometimes that may be a reason for the greater achievement in the part of students. Okay, that can be one reason for the greater achievement by using a new method of teaching, isn't it? So that is one of the limitation of that particular experimental research. Okay, so these are the advantages as well as the limitations regarding this experimental research. So this experimental research is one among the three methods. That is one of it is survey, the second one that is the correlational research, and the third one that is the experimental research. So these are the points regarding this experimental research. Hope you are clear with this, and also I will be posting the notes also in your classroom later. Today I hadn't prepared the notes, or else I will be having one textbook with me, but I don't know whether you can follow that textbook. Otherwise I will be preparing the notes and put it in the classroom. Okay, you can check the classroom for your notes later. Okay, so please go through the video and write the lecture notes also. Okay, thank you.